Who has been the subject of a group rejection? Being bullied, or being blackballed, or being gossiped about, or being pushed out of a group? Yeah? So what I want to talk about here initially is that is freaking terrifying to the animal body of your small self. We are social beings. Group rejection in tribal days was almost certainly a death sentence. It's not so serious now. We can live in a commercial culture without other people, but you definitely see it in the case of bullies or being bullied or domestic violence, that social isolation and rejection does mean death. And we know that people die earlier when they're in situations like that. And even if you're not, if you know in your mind that's not going to happen, it can certainly feel that way in the moment, right? I got a call from someone maybe a couple of weeks ago who was unceremoniously and systematically kicked out of a group due to the suasion and misrepresentations of a more powerful and wealthier insider in that group. Now, she loved that group, but her pain was so incredible, and her anger at the unfairness of that was as real as any physical injury could have been. So what you hear people report when something like that has happened to them is a sense of being powerless, a sense of being angry, a sense of being vulnerable, afraid of what might happen next. Especially, it seems, if it's something that is an invisible problem, like an invisible attack, gossip, blackballing, passive-aggressive behavior, where you don't know exactly like what the scenario is, what the landscape is that you're fighting. You're tilting at invisible windmills and don't know where to turn. What do you do? Well, human instincts to gossip or to avoid solving problems by doing these kind of behaviors are really the result of super immature ability to do conflict resolution, immaturity, and we don't teach nonviolent communication really well. We don't teach people how to solve conflicts, how to solve problems really well. So we use these sort of sideways systems so that people don't have to be accountable to the difficulty that they're having with another person. And gossip and blackballing are part of that. So I would say the first thing I would do, and I dug into some literature on this also to prepare for this, is a rich personal investigation. If you find you're the subject of gossip or social rejection or blackballing on any level, the first inquiry is with your own self. Is there something you need to do to make amends? Is there something that you've done? And if you can go direct to the person who's the initiator of this problem, then absolutely do that. And if you can find a trusted intermediary to sit with you, absolutely do that. Of course, that's not always possible. So the next thing that you do is you gather your allies. You gather the people around you who know you and know you deeply and know your character and will be there no matter what. And you can use them in a lot of ways. The first way you use them is just as a warm blanket, like just sort of a virtual hug. You don't talk about the subject, you just enjoy their company. You go for walks, you do projects together, you cook together, you go to lunch, you do whatever it is you usually do with those people, and you just feel their love and support. Another way to do that is to do, this is a great practice that I did many years ago with Harish Wallace, prostration practice. And there's a piece of it that I absolutely love. You visualize in front of you a mandala, an arrangement of blessing beings. Now that can be, spiritual beings like Jesus or Mother Mary or whatever, but it can also be your first grade teacher or anybody who's ever looked at you with love, with unconditional love and acceptance. You create this visualization of those people who are those beings and forces and people who are always in your corner, or who have been in your corner at some point in your life and magnified you. So your allies, I guess what I'm saying is your allies don't have to be just real physical people near you right now. They can also be this virtual blessing mandala. Okay. Then you want to get one or two people who are your middle of the night people. And you go to them and you say, oh, I'm suffering. This situation is causing me suffering. And I need help. And I wonder if for a time being, you will be that person for me. Will you be the person that I can call in the middle of the night until the time comes that this is all worked out and it's less acute? And you'll find that one or two people who will be there for you is enough, because this situation isn't something that you want to be broadcasting. You don't want to magnify it out in the world or amplify it in the world. Be selective about sharing the suffering around this, and please maintain your dignity and don't put it on Facebook, you know. So first thing, personal investigation. Second thing, gather your allies, virtual and real. The third thing, if you find yourself in this social rejection situation, is to do abundant, resonant, full, glorious self-care. Yes, you go out there and you sweat harder and dance harder and walk in the woods more and love more and feed yourself better and read great materials and watch inspiring things and take extra times to sit, because you as a strong and beloved person to your own self will be able to every day switch the channel and all that other stuff, even in the face of this very difficult situation that we're talking about, which is being the subject of social rejection, group rejection, or isolation. Take care of yourself. Okay, the next step or the next thought to have, and I was particularly struck by this from one of the messages that came in on the subject, was how big a particular group or a particular incident can feel in your life. It's like it fills the frame of your whole perspective. You wake up and you're thinking about it, you go to sleep and you're thinking about it, and it's just overwhelming when this subject or this group or this geography or this person is filling the frame. The only thing that you can do is zoom way out until there's a small little speck and a dot on the horizon. The world is so vast, and your gifts and your capacities are needed in so many places. There's so many places to serve. There's so many places to participate, that when the particular place that you're getting this vibe from, that you're rejected from temporarily, is not accessible, just back off and find some other place to bring your love and talents. So zooming out is got its own page. Another inspiring graphic from me. Zoom out for the people who are visual learners. The world is much bigger than you think when it's feeling small and attacking. All right, then. The last one is to trust the long arc. Nothing that is happening in the immediate moment is generally, okay, I love speaking in absolutes. It sounds so authoritative, but, you know, usually just for effect, that people show themselves over time. So this means that the people who are doling out their gossipy message or whatever it is, their true selves will show over time. I've had so many people, you know, years later come back and make amends for something, and I'm always like, really? That's amazing. Thank you so much. And you too, your presence, how you show up for those you love, how you show up and do your work, that shows over time too. So it might take 5 years, could take 5 weeks, could take 5 months, it could take 5 years, it could take a lifetime. But that know that who you are and the reality of that is going to shine through over time. There's one other thing I want to say about this, and it's going to sound maybe it's going to sound a little snarky. But if you're the person who's being, who finds yourself with a tendency to gossip or a tendency to blackball or try to not go direct to someone when you have something that needs to be said, know how damaging that is. Know how damaging it is. I understand that it comes out of fear and that it's a lot easier to say things behind people's back or do things that aren't in direct conflict, but it's very damaging to the fabric of the social trust that we weave together. So the skill set is around being able to go into a conflict situation and hold your core, hold your dignity, and speak from that strength and not be emotional and reactive, but just stay there and sit in the fire of your own discomfort and work something out with another person. There are plenty of places to go to learn how to do this. If there is a job or money involved where this sort of gossip or blackballing or rejection is happening and it's professional, you might need some more strategy. You might need some more strategic planting of information and things like that. But in general, I just want to recap. We're social beings. We can feel incredibly powerless and attacked when someone targets us and we're carved out from the group. And the answer to that is to personally investigate our own role in it, make amends if needed, and go through mediation if needed directly with that person. If that's not possible, and even if it is possible, 2, to gather your allies. 3, to take care of yourself. 4, to zoom out from your current situation geographically, topically, socially, in the circle socially. 5, to trust the long arc of where you are going, who you are, that everything will show up over time, and to keep the emotion out of it so that you can show up every day and be your best self for those that love you. And when it gets too hard, then you have these 3 tools and techniques we talked about in the beginning. Switch the channel, open your heart, and come into the now. Okay? So how did this go? It's a very strange format for me because of the inability to have give and take. In the other GoToMeeting format or WebEx format, there was a lot of conversation back and forth and you could get questions coming in. So I feel a little bit like I'm just talking at you. It doesn't feel as much like a group call. So what would you like to discuss? Any reactions, any questions that you have, or things that you want to agree with or disagree with? How do the topics from today sit with you? Hi, Mark. Nice to see your face, or your Facebook icon, if not your face. Anything? Hi, Greg. Nice to see you. We're just winding up, but I would love to know if there's anything that people are responsive to or want to hear more about. No? Okay. All right, so I'm going to take this and post the recap. I think they let you do that. And then with it, I'll do links to the graphics. Nina, I saw that you volunteered to do a t-shirt. I might take you up on that. And I'll post links to some of the resources on facing down social rejection. Okay? All right, I love you. I believe in you. And I can't wait to see you in person. We do these calls every month, and the next one will be May 16th, I think. So talk to you then, I hope. All right.